I'm here with Jackson State head coach Deion Sanders, Coach Prime to me. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I want to talk with you about how the Playmaker, Primetime, and Pepsi came together to do this outstanding trash talk content that I saw. This sit down between the two of you at a desk in which y'all are actually going back and forth. I was really impressed with how the chemistry came off, but how do you feel about it?
It's great content. It gives us the opportunity to allow everyone to understand how important recycling is. And to have two gentlemen, you would think we trash talked, but we never talk junk to one another when we played. And I never trash talked anyway. It's a big misconception. Everyone thought I did, but I never talked junk to my opponent, never, ever. And Mike and I had so much respect for one another, but I'm thanking Pepsi emphatically for bringing my guy back, and just being on the set with one another brought back so many memories. And, reading through the stuff, it was so organic. It was so real. It was so genuine that it was unbelievable, because we would do that. Like, we would do that in practice or whatever, but never in games or whatever. We had too much respect for one another.
It shows, honestly, that y'all have that chemistry. And I was kind of miffed at first when you said you don't trash talk, but that's in games. Obviously, when you go on at a person that you play against in practice, I mean,
right.
for me, can you describe what that was like at practice with a Hall of Famer going at each other, working on each other, and getting to be the kind of players that you became?
It was tremendous, because it wasn't just a Hall of Famer going against a Hall of Famer. It was a Hall of Famer going against a Hall of Famer, and the quarterback's a Hall of Famer, and the left tackle's a Hall of Famer, soon to be, and the left guard, and so forth. It was unbelievable, the competitive nature of it all, and it just didn't start on the practice field in the NFL. It started way back in high school. We from Florida, man. We Florida boys. So you hear about the Mike Irvin, you hear about the Playmaker. Then you go to Miami, Florida State. It's another rivalry, and it just continues. Now I'm in Atlanta, the Cowboys. Now I'm in San Francisco versus the Cowboys. So it continued. It continued, but we have at the root of it, it's a tremendous friendship. It's a tremendous relationship. That's why we enjoyed so much into educating the public about the trueness of recycling, man. It was phenomenal.
So y'all got to stare down at the end. See,
how
long did it take you to get that one right before somebody broke up laughing?
Probably about 5 takes, because I'm the one that's going to start laughing, because I can't be serious,
No,
I can't be serious.
No, what you're smiling underneath it. Both of you are, right? It almost feels like you're trying to hold it together for this bit.
Mike really acted. I had a bit roles, but Mike really acted in the longest yard. The 14th, the longest yard, number 14. I don't know what number was the longest yard, the remakes, but he really acted. So I would give him the acting chops over me. But we had a great time creating the content, man. It is for a great cause.
Well, Coach, as you know, I'm a college football guy, and I follow recruiting very closely. And you still have one of my favorite recruiting announcements here of late, in that you landed the number 1 player in the country, Travis Hunter. You followed up with number 1 player in the state of Missouri and Kevin Coleman. But the thing that I thought was most interesting about that is both of those cats were smart about it. They had a flair about it. They pulled the J out late, and you got the J on your hat now. Yeah. What does it mean for you in this program to see that J becoming synonymous with what you're building?
Well, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the opportunity that these young men have, and those guys that they dared to be different. They dared to provoke change. And, Pepsi's also one of the sponsors of the SWAC, HBCU. So I'm happy about that. But those two individuals, they wasn't with the fads and the trends, man. They was like, we're going to go do our own thing. We're going to go provoke change, and we're going to do some amazing things. And it didn't take a lot of coercing or convincing. It wasn't like that. They wanted to do this. And, Kevin didn't come, but Travis, he came to the homecoming, and you can't let a kid come to HBCU homecoming if you're another school and you want to keep him. If he comes to our homecoming, it's a wrap. It's over. It's a done deal.
And it felt really good from the outside looking in, right? I understand how sometimes these things get blown out of proportion, but for me, right, I'm watching the first time that a 5-star has committed to an FCS school, let alone an HBCU. We're beginning to see these kinds of players that used to play in the SWAC, used to play at HBCU schools, not just look at them, but in this cycle, pick you. Now, I got a question about on the field, though.
There you go.
Are you going to let Travis Hunter go both ways? And are you going to let Shedeur just, chunk it up over there?
I don't let anybody do anything. Everybody got to earn everything. So Travis has to, first of all, be valuable on one side or the other, really have true value. So if that value's on defense, okay, we'll spot play you offensively. If that value is on offense, we'll spot play you maybe on a dime package, nickel packages on defense. We got to determine what Travis is. And that starts right now. Travis has been on camp. Thank God these kids are smart, man. They're intelligent. They're starting to get their academics, so they graduate early. So he's been on campus ever since he was finished with those postseason all-star games. And I'm elated about that. His work ethic is emphatic. He's a dog, man. He wants it. He didn't come in resting on his high school accolades. He came in wanting to go to the next level, wanting to watch extra film, wanting to learn the little nuances about the game. What can I teach him? What can I tell him? What can I show him? That's how Travis gets down. And pretty much all of the new class. The new class have such a bar that's there. So all the new guys that we brought in from the portal and from just signing these youngsters and some grad transfers as well, man, they want it because the bar is set. They understand how we get down and what we must do to remain on top.
One of the things that I thought was interesting about the 11-2 season is not just that you had the wins, but the way that they were coming together. Saw you put an emphasis on recruiting toward the offensive line, try to get better there.
Yeah.
How did that end up for you? Do you feel good about the guys you brought in and how you're going to rebuild that front five?
And 7 and 8, man. I think we signed 7 or 8 of them. If we didn't reach our goal of 8, I think we may have one more because you got to save some room for after spring. So after the spring, everybody was promised what they were promised, and other schools are not happy about it, so they decided to jump. And we're gonna be sitting right there with a catcher's mitt, ready for the portal. Portal is the best thing that ever happened to some people. The portal is the worst thing ever happened to some people. We're like 40-20, 40% grad transfers, 40% portal, 20% high school. So the high school kids are the one that's suffering, that's not getting the most looks and attention because a lot of college coaches don't have 2 years to develop. You got to win. You got to win right now. But we addressed every need that we had, and I feel like we upgraded it. So we're elated about going into the spring. And you got to understand, this is our first time we're getting an opportunity to develop our players. The last spring we were playing games, we're competing with a bunch of kids we didn't know. So now this is the first off season. We got a chance to have an off season weight program, strength and conditioning, and we get an opportunity to develop these kids and put them into certain situations that we want to see that they can they handle it.
I'm very interested in your take on the portal, Coach, for a number of reasons, not the least of which is you do a great job of recruiting out of it, but you also lost Dalen Baldwin to it, who ends up playing in Michigan. They make the college football playoff, win the Big Ten.
We didn't lose Dalen Baldwin. We don't lose nothing we want.
Pardon me. Okay. He decided.
Yes,
that was what he was going to do. That's my bad. My fault.
I'm gonna get naked with you and tell you what it really was. Sorry for my speech. Dalen told us after the spring that he wanted to turn pro after the fall season. We said, cool. So business-wise, we cut his full scholarship to half because he didn't need a full because he wasn't going to be there after December. He didn't understand the logic of that and got sensitive. So, okay, I'm going to leave. We said, cool. Because we knew what we had coming. We knew what we had coming in, and some things may not fit. You got to understand, you never heard of Dalen Baldwin until the spring. No one ever heard of him until the spring. So we helped develop him in that aspect, and we're happy and elated that instead of us going to a Power 5 trying to poach from them, They came to us. That shows the magnitude of your program. So that was a blessing as well. But we were okay. I think we were okay.
Well, no, and I don't mean to suggest otherwise. I bring it
Oh,
up.
I know you did. That's what really happened. He didn't understand the logic into understand. You don't need a full scholarship when you're not going to be here but 3 months, man. Come on.
Well, it feels like either way you're going to be all right, and you're adjusting to the landscape as it is, as opposed to perhaps just wanting it to change. You're going to work with it, and I wonder, where does that come from with you? Where does that come from with your staff? I mean, I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. You called up Gentry Williams at Booker T. Washington, and his mama was really thinking about it. She says so. I'm asking, how do you stay this nimble in this landscape where everything is changing, where it's not just name, image, and likeness? Your son Shador signs with Gatorade. I mean, you seem to be coming out on top here no matter what we put in front of you.
Well, I'm a forward thinker. I have a wonderful staff that elevates everything. Like right now, it's so many professionals, former pros that want to coach now, which is a wonderful thing because that helps our kids, Power 5, HBCU, whatever. So even our camp this weekend, we had a one-day camp last year, and that we had to turn away 200 kids, which I hate to turn away a child, period. So now instead of having one day, we're already thinking, okay, 3 days, because now not only I want to bring those guys in and really teach them and bring some former pro head coaches as well as some collegiate coaches to really give them the do's and don'ts and how to get into the coaching realm, these aspiring pro athletes. Then the next day, the regular camp, then the next day, the 7-on-7 camp that we're going to have on Jackson. So now from a 1 day, we go to a 3-day commitment to really try to develop these young men. And it's a beautiful thing. So we're always progressing. Everything is progressive. We got 2 practice fields now instead of 1. So now I figure out a way where practice never stops. So it just does not have to stop for one bit. So when we're out there for an hour and a half, we're out there for an hour and a half. We're working. And the water breaks are within the confines of practice. So it's always thinking how to improve things because I've been on all sides. I've been the kid that played. I've been the parent that somebody came to recruit the kid, and now I'm the coach. So I've been on all 3 sides of this thing, and I look at it from all 3 windows, which gives us a competitive advantage tremendously.
Coach, I would be remiss if I did not mention that you are in high demand, period. But specifically when these job openings became available in December, I wonder how much you think about perhaps your future beyond Jackson State at all. But more specifically, are you happy? Are you having a good time? And how do you keep having a good time doing what you're doing?
Oh, well, I don't equate happiness because happiness goes from the state of mind of being unhappy. I'm at peace at all times, man. I love what I do and I do what I love. I'm not trying to be a desired man for just colleges, man. I'm thankful that I'm desired for Pepsi. I'm the desired for this wonderful recycling program that we're educating people all over the country. Other companies that I'm able to introduce my kids to, and they're taking full advantage of it, not just my kids blood-wise, but the kids in Jackson State. So I'm loving every minute of it, every moment of it. I'm not looking down the street to depart. I'm looking down the street to develop. So it's so many different things that we have on tap. We're improving every aspect. We've got a new practice field. Thank God to Walmart. We have new locker rooms. Thank God to some of our other sponsors as well, including Pepsi. It's so many new uniforms. Thank God to Under Armour every year. I mean, we already have 4 or 5 helmets and several uniforms. We add on to that because these kids like to stay fresh. They expect that from Coach Prime, So it's so many things with HBCUs now, a way to show us in a positive light and to make sure we always on the national television in some form of fashion. That's what we're working on right now. And that's a beautiful thing that these kids are going to warrant the exposure that they deserve. Like campaigns like this helps us tremendously. I mean, so it's not just me and Mike Irvin doing a recycling campaign for Pepsi, man. It's Coach Prime from Jackson State. That you have no idea how that affects and infects us tremendously. I love it. It's a wonderful platform.
Coach Prime, I appreciate your time. I also need to tell you, I'm grateful for the red accents in the uniforms. I think it's real nice. I understand that I got family in Jackson that ain't always down, but I'm down. And I look at them and say, hey, look, I would want to wear that. Matter of fact, I got Shiloh's jersey coming up over here because, man, them red accents do something for me. I'm glad you keep doing it. Please keep doing it is what I'm saying. All right, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go.
Tell you the truth about the red. I received so much bull junk from the red from the first spring. Don't you know I didn't get one call, one question about nothing last season, not one iota about nothing. So winning is a wonderful curate. Winning. Trust me, it does tremendous wonders. Now I didn't get nothing about gray. I introduced gray uniforms. I mean, trust me. I can have a fatigue uniform as long as you win it. They straight.
I like it. Coach Prime, thank you for doing this with us, and I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to what you do in 2022.
Man, I appreciate you, and thank you. Thank you for allowing us to expand on this campaign. I appreciate you, man. God bless you. I'm going to see you soon, I promise you.
All right, Coach. Thanks for watching this video, and remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 ranked show YouTube channel.